Hey everyone, welcome to Investing in Real Estate. I am your host, Clayton Morris. This is the show where we focus on buy and hold real estate. That is to buy real estate for the purpose of holding it till we die and handing it down to our children to create real passive income, true legacy wealth for our families. That's the show. That's what we talk about. And today we are going to talk about the worst way to invest in real estate. I get this question a lot from investors that I speak to on the phone or through email after they book a call with our team, etc. I always hear the stories about how individuals first bought their first rental property. And I want to talk about it today. So the worst way to invest in real estate. There are a lot of great ways which we cover here on the show, but this is the worst way to invest in real estate. And honestly, the worst way to invest in real estate is to do it emotionally. To be tied to a property emotionally. Let me give you an example. I'm going to give you two examples, actually. First one was a husband and wife out of the Philadelphia area who I spoke to. They were interested in buying rental properties. And I asked them how many rental properties they currently own. What is their situation right now? And they said, well, we have a rental property. We own it, but we moved and we just kept it. It's in the Manayunk area of Philadelphia, which is a beautiful little area, but very expensive. So they kept this house. They're paying a very high mortgage, and the rent, after we broke down the numbers, because the first question I asked them is, what return on investment are you getting with that property? And we went through the numbers. Their first response, though, to me was, well, we love it and we think it's doing really well for us and, we're paying it down. And so we pretty much break even on it. But, in a few years, about 10 years, we think we'll start to actually make some money on it. Well, right away, that's a red flag to me because that's, right away, something's not right with that. If you're not going to make any money and you're actually negative right now, that's not a good investment. But the problem is that they kept the house. And I said, so why are you keeping this house? And they just said, well, it was our first place and we just kind of love it. So bing, 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 right there. The emotional connection to real estate. That is the worst way to invest in real estate, having some sort of emotional connection to a house. Now, that might be fine. You might really love this little charming place, this little charming cottage in the woods that you love. Well, then that's fine. Keep that as a hobby. Keep that as something that you take your family to visit once a year for a week, or maybe you rent it out. But you realize that you don't put that in your investing bucket. You put that in your hobby bucket or your sort of passion project bucket. Like somebody who wants to work on an old car in their garage for 5 years, right? That's just a hobby. That's a passion project. This family, though, had tied their emotional well-being to this house in Philadelphia. So we went through the numbers and I explained that their return on investment was basically negative and that even with the taxes, they were paying more out than they were bringing in for this property. And I said, so let me get this straight. You bought the house at $200,000 and you still owe like $190 on it. And it's cash flowing below what you're paying on the mortgage, and your taxes, you're in the negative. But I said, so why haven't you sold this property? And they just paused for like 2 minutes, and they said, because we love the house. And I said, well, okay, if that were my property, I would immediately sell that property. That would be something I would sell immediately from my portfolio because it's one of the underperforming properties. And I said to them, let's walk through the numbers. Let's dive into why this is an underperforming property and why this is not a smart investment. And once they could see that they were running negative, that it made no sense, I asked them the key question. They bought it for $200,000, but it was worth now like $225 or something like that. I said, why wouldn't you sell that house? And again, they just sat for a little while and it finally, I think, dawned on them. And they decided to call a realtor, or they were going to list it for sale like in a few days. And I was proud of them for taking action on that, because now they could sell that property, just be done with that, kind of, because they're paying out money anyway. Just start from scratch and go buy another investment property that is actually performing at a high level. So the worst way to invest in real estate is emotionally. And most people do it because they have a house that they lived in and they moved and they kept it as their first rental property. If I talk to 10 investors, I guarantee 3 of those investors probably have a house that they use as an investment property that they lived in first and they moved from it. But I want you to get really serious about your numbers. Sit down and be honest with yourself and make sure that you're not just holding on to this property because of an emotional connection to this property. Really go through the numbers and be true to yourself on your return on investment. Okay? In an upcoming episode, we're going to really be diving deep into ROI and what is return on investment. That'll be in the next few weeks here. So we're going to give you some really great tips and strategies on how to figure out your return on investment and what you should be looking for when you're purchasing a property. So that was example 1. That was the Philadelphia couple who had that property. Another is my father-in-law, whom I love. But the other night we were having dinner and he said, did I tell you about the Hacienda we're buying? And I said, what? He said, we're buying a Hacienda. I said, where? And, they live in California. So I thought, okay, maybe there's something in California. No, they're buying this property in Mexico that has no electricity. It was built in the 1700s. They fell in love with this building when they were down there 10 years ago. Well, they went back and now the town basically wants somebody to care for the property and take it over because it's kind of falling into disrepair, but it's a gorgeous place near an airstrip. So all these rich families fly in and stay at this place. You can't use electricity, but it's just gorgeous. It's up in the Sierra Madres. And so it's like, they don't need air conditioning. It's cool. It's beautiful. You have fireplaces in each room. And I want to give you the point that my father-in-law he understands real estate. He's bought properties through me. He owns properties all over the country. He said, look, this is not an investment. This is a passion project. And I was proud because that's exactly what I'm talking about. He knew that this was an emotional purchase, that this was something that he wanted to do just not really as an investment because it's not a good investment, actually at all. He may even lose money on it. But it was a passion project for him. He's going to oversee the renovation of this property. He'll probably go down there for 20 to 30 days a year with his wife. They'll rent out some of the other rooms. It's on a coffee plantation. So they're going to have, bring in some different purveyors and do some neat things with coffee growers. So that is a passion project. That is not an investment. So he understood that, and he was very clear about it, and he even understands the numbers so that he's not going to look to add that to his investment portfolio of properties. That really is his hobby, his passion project, the working on the old car in the garage syndrome. So once again, the worst way to invest in real estate is emotional. And that can run the gamut, right? You could be emotionally tied to your cute little town that houses cost $300,000. Well, you need to drop that emotional connection to real estate because that is not a good investment. You need to go where the return on investment is, and you need to remove your emotionality from the transaction. If we send a potential investor a property, and it might look like a cute little bungalow from the pictures, and then we send them an equally great house, but the pictures might not be as good, I guarantee you most people are going to have an emotional reaction to the cute little bungalow pictures. Even if I tell them that the other property will have higher rent, lower taxes, and it's in a better neighborhood. You've got to drop your emotional connection to 4 walls and a roof. It's all just building materials. Don't fall in love with real estate. Fall in love with ROI. That's my little monologue for the day on emotional, and because I had a lot of these phone calls this week where I talked to investors, and many of them had these emotional connections to real estate. You've got to drop it and just be real with yourself. We publish this show every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We've got some great episodes coming up this week. Part 2 of our episode with Robert Sheeman, one of my mentors in real estate investing. We're going to deep dive his strategies for acquiring properties with no money, none of his own money. He owns 500 properties. The guy is a rock star in real estate. Don't miss that on Wednesday of this week. And then we have a great case study episode with a brand new investor who just has a few properties and is just getting started. That will be on Thursday. So check that out. My name is Clayton Morris. If you would like to book a call with our team, we would love to talk with you about rental real estate and getting started. If you're ready to take action, just head on over to our website. Just go to morrisinvest.com and click on the Book a Call tab, and we will be happy to jump on the phone with you. I look forward to it, folks, and I can't wait to see you back here on Wednesday. I'm Clayton. Have a great week, everyone. Much love to you all.